Pentagon has slammed U.S. media reports saying that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared details of attacks on Houthi rebels in a second Signal group chat. Reports said that the chat group included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer. Citing sources familiar with the chat group, the New York Times reported that Hegseth shared detailed information about forthcoming strikes in Yemen on March 15 on the group chat. According to the New York Times report, Hegseth shared the flight schedules for the FA-18 Hornets targeting the Houthis in Yemen, essentially the same attack plans that he shared on a separate Signal chat the same day that mistakenly included the editor of The Atlantic. The report said that the private Signal group chat was created by Hegseth and included his wife, his brother, and about a dozen other people. As per the report, the group was named Defense Team Huddle. The report further claiming that Hegseth used his private phone rather than his government one to access the Signal chat. The Wall Street Journal has separately reported that Hegseth's wife, a former Fox News producer, has also reportedly attended sensitive meetings with foreign military counterparts. And reacting to reports, the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth blamed disgruntled former employees and the media of trying to ruin his reputation. Listen in.
See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me.
The Pentagon's chief spokesperson earlier made the same argument. In a social media post, Parnell pointed to disgruntled former employees and claimed that the reports relied only on the words of people who were fired this week and appear to have a motive to sabotage the secretary and the president's agenda. He reiterated, in fact, that there was no classified information in any Signal chat. These revelations coming as one of Hegseth's leading advisors, Dan Caldwell, was escorted from the Pentagon last week after being identified during an investigation into leaks at the Department of Defense. Two other officials, Darren Selnick and Colin Carroll, were also put on administrative leave. And with us on the broadcast this minute is Garland Nixon, political analyst and radio show host from Maryland, U.S. Thanks very much for being here on the broadcast. I have to begin by asking you, what do you make of what the report says and what the fallout has been? Of course, several questions being triggered, given that this is the second such controversy that is plaguing the Trump administration and Pete Hegseth specifically. What do you make of what he has said as well?
Well, I think number one, this reflects a level of unprofessionalism with Pete Hegseth, which shouldn't be surprising because, quite frankly, if you look at his background, I don't think he has the background. I don't think he has the competence to handle the position at the level that he's required to handle. So I just don't think he's prepared for this position, and this reflects that. Now, that being said, I think certainly there are entities out there that are out to get him or maybe try to take this information to hurt him. However, he should be knowledgeable of that, and he should know that he doesn't use Signal or WhatsApp, some of these highly compromised applications to do this. So yes, there's a legitimate argument that there's people that are out to get him. However, when you accept a position like that, you have to understand that there will always be people out there out to get you. So that's not an excuse for this. I think it just demonstrates a level of incompetence and unpreparedness for a position of the magnitude that he holds.
Right, and the Wall Street Journal separately reporting that Pete Hegseth's wife, a former Fox News producer, allegedly also attended meetings that were held with foreign military commanders. What do you make of that?
Again, he can do that when he works for Fox News. He shouldn't do that when he's in a government position, but he has held lower positions in the government, lower positions in the military, where they weren't as strategically important. And of course, as I said, he wouldn't have as many people out there trying to intercept the information that he has. So I just think Pete Hegseth doesn't understand the level of power that he has and represents, and how many people will be out there to compromise the information that he's sharing. And quite frankly, I never felt that Pete Hegseth demonstrated a level of competence needed for a position of this magnitude. And certainly, you know, while I have significant disagreements with the foreign policy of my own government, the reality is if you're holding a position of this level, you have to be prepared for it. We're seeing that Pete Hegseth is not prepared for this position and probably should be replaced in my opinion.
All right, and before we let you go, given how the response has come about from Pete Hegseth, the kind of defense that has been put forth, what do you think needs to happen from here onwards? Also, given that this has, in a way, raised similar questions all over again, and in a way, the tarnishing of the trust and confidence.
Well, a couple of things. I think the important thing to understand is that these are two things apparently that seem to happen on the same day or right around the same time, which probably means that that this is an app that Pete Hegseth has been using for a while. It probably means that whoever has intercepted this information will continue to leak more and more information, and probably has a lot of information out there. So there needs to be a reckoning inside the Trump administration where they review everything that that he has shared, and they take action to try to address the compromised information that he's put out, number one. But number two, I think at this point it's going to be hard to keep Hegseth unless Trump just digs his heels in and says he's my guy and I'm not going to let him go. I wouldn't think that would be a wise move.
All right, Garland Nixon, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.